Let's see. Let's catch up on this. Your example, the dude didn't feel respected because his friends are shoplifting. His friends are RMT. He just winking at them, so no ban because they spend some money in the in-game shop. Regularly speaking, they're letting people RMT left and right because they spend a couple of euros here and there, and legit shots more clear. He just being super lax with RMT is a fact. When it comes to RMT for AGS, right? I wouldn't say that they're like winking at them per se. It's more of like they're not winking at them. They're more just, you know, if you want to use a store analogy, right? The people are shoplifting in the store, but there's no security cameras installed. That's kind of the situation it is. It's not that they condone it, but they just don't punish it. They don't try to punish it. They don't have they're not installing the means to punish it. And I think that one of the problems is like, at the end of the day, how do I say this? If you're playing the game, here's the ultimate problem with the game and kind of why people feel the way that we're feeling right now. It's really tough for newer players to come into the game and get to a point where they're at endgame and also have the endgame requirements. The game doesn't do a good enough job of getting newer players caught up to the game to a point where they are able to fit in, just like players who have been playing for a while. So that causes a lot of newer players to want to swipe, need to swipe. So that's one problem. The other problem is that, and this is not necessary, I don't know if this is a problem, but it might be a product of the game itself and how it builds itself. Because of our constant emphasis, and I guess the way that they designed the game, right? They designed the game in a way where it makes people feel like they need to play 6 classes and playing it sort of at the end game. So because you have this situation where people feel this need, they're out here making 6 classes, but in terms of economics, your 6 classes will never pay for themselves if you're pushing them to the end game. So another reason why people end up swiping is because they're out here trying to push 6 classes to the end game. And I'm not talking about new players. Of course, new players are going to have to like work really hard to make that happen. But I'm saying like for people who are even in my situation where they are trying to push 6 classes, like they've been playing for quite a while. They're not the most hardcore players ever, but they want to keep their classes up to date to end game. And that's going to be hard on your economics. That's going to be hard to fund. And because of that, many people feel like they need to swipe to keep up their main while keeping up their alts. If they didn't care about keeping up their alts, for example, if I stuck all my characters down at like 1580, 1560, right? I think I would definitely have a 1640 main with a 25 weapon. That probably would happen without me paying much for the game. Of course, and also like it requires me to play efficiently as well. But I end up swapping like a shit ton of classes, so that's kind of doesn't happen. But I think, personally, the most healthy way to play this game, where you are actually able to get to the end game and not have to swipe much and keep up with everybody, is if you play 3 to 4 classes. Play 3 to 4 classes, and then your 3 classes, other than your main, you keep at kind of like a minimum level or a level where it's like not pushing it super far. It's probably like 1560, 1580. And then your main can probably be like 1630. Okay, so how will you call AGS giving a 2 to 3 day ban, or at worst 1 week of RMT, a large sum of gold? That's winking. That's AGS. We know some do buy gold from third parties and let them go on a slap of the wrist, maybe because they also spend some money in the legit shop. I mean, I don't think it's because they spend money in the legit shop. Are you sure that that punishment is only for people who are spending money in the shop? Like, I have a feeling a number of those people probably don't spend money in the shop. But honestly, I think personally, it's because, like, here's the problem, right? I think that the negative gold is a decent punishment if they kept following up on these people. But the problem is, they don't keep following up with them. Like, for example, if I RMT, I get negative 8 million gold, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to buy that RMT gold again. For me, if I was on Amazon's team, I would be like, I'm going to keep an eye out on this guy and make sure he doesn't try to do it again. But the problem is they don't do that. And I don't think, personally, it's really and I don't know, right? I don't know how they do it. Personally, I'm not sure if they're not paying attention to this guy for a second time because it's a slap on the wrist. I personally just think that they have bigger fish to fry at that point. I don't blame AGS or any company at all. I blame the community. They made this really... If you want a RMT, fine. But if you're meeting someone who doesn't need to have max geared and cars max, that's on you. The players destroy the game, not the AGS. That's a fact. You see, I also think that it's partly Smilegate's fault as well in that comment, right? I think it's partly Smilegate's fault for incentivizing players to play in this way. Like, it's their fault for making a game where the raids are so punishing for like a homework reclear that players feel like they need to gatekeep the shit out of people to actually just run raids without the fear of being jailed. If there was no fear of being jailed, I think that the gatekeeping would be a lot more lenient. If there was a lot less fear of being jailed in homework content, I don't think there would be as much gatekeeping. So I think it's twofold. It's both the players and Smilegate that has the share on the kind of the, I guess, of the blame on this part. Maybe it's not specifically because they need to spend money on the actual shop. That makes it even worse and hard to understand why they're permissive on RMT. And I do think that they need to do a lot better job to address RMTers. But I also partly don't think that... How do I say this? Because, like, look, here's the thing, right? RMTers are very negative to their game. As AGS, their goal is to profit as much as they can, right? If my players are not spending money on the in-game shop, but instead spending money on bots, I personally would want to stop that as AGS. Because all that money they're spending on RMTing outside is money that could have gone into their wallets that isn't going into their wallets otherwise. I do wish and hope and want them to be able to address RMTers a lot better than they're doing right now. But I also don't think that they're turning a blind eye on them because they're just like, whatever. Because ultimately, it hurts them more than it helps. Like, the game is dying because of it. They're losing money because of it. There's no reason for them to ignore them. Like, what is... Like, Mick, in your mind, right? What is a reason why they're ignoring them? Like, can you think of a logical reason why they're ignoring them? Like, exactly. It's like what Hakan says. I think they care about RMTers more than even we care about them. Because it's literally hurting their bottom line. Like, their goal as a company is to make money. And if RMTers are in the game, it's directly hurting their ability to make money in that they are losing money for every person that goes and does RMTing. And it's also losing money on the other side of people quitting the game due to them. I don't know why, but they've already proved their stance with the infamous no king to rule through fear as an indicator that they change their mind. But that's what I'm saying, right? It doesn't make sense that they're just turning a blind eye on them. So there has to be a reason behind what they're doing that maybe we just don't know. At least I'd like to think that. Because if... And these people at Amazon are not stupid people. When you get to the point of being an executive at a company, like when you're making a decision, like a big decision, these people are not dumb people. They're very smart people. I know because I worked with these people directly for years of my life. If you guys haven't seen, like down below, I've been an executive recruiter in the past. I worked directly with people who are making decisions at these big companies. And they're all extremely intelligent people. And they're also very money driven. Like, they are getting paid millions. They are very money driven. If they are not bringing the company money, they are getting axed. So there has to be things there. And I'm not saying that they're perfect. I'm not saying that they're perfect. I'm not saying they're not at fault. But I also feel like there's a side of it that we just can't see. So while there is a lot of blame to put on them, I don't think the story is as simple as they're just like permitting them. They don't care. They're there for the salary. No, not definitely not. Again, if they're not pulling in numbers, they're just gonna get fired. Again, I have worked at these companies and I know what goes. Well, I know about the conversations that go in those rooms. Like if somebody's performing shitty, they're on the chopping block. Even though you think like they're executives, they have a lot of money, whatever, like they're being like, you know, spoon fed or whatever. I mean, there are situations where certain people are favorites and they get like, you know, preferential treatment. But for the most part, I have been in these situations where executives were underperforming. And as a result, they just get axed. And the worst part, the craziest part is they don't get axed in a way that you would think they get axed. It's like, they're not like, oh, you know, we're going to give you like a performance improvement plan. And then like, you know, if you don't perform better, like we're going to get rid of you. A lot of times they get put on a performance improvement plan. But while they're on that performance improvement plan, people are already looking for their replacement. And then they just get axed out of nowhere. It's crazy. So I work for a corporation too. I do 99% are only there for monthly wages. But some of the higher ups are very smart. There are many more only to pocket money, or even people who look at numbers and have attachment reality. Well, I mean, where are you in the corporation, Mick, as well? I mean, it's no disrespect to you, but like, where are you in the corporation? Are you a manager level? Are you a director level? Are you a VP level? Are you a SVP level? Like for me, I worked with VPs, SVPs, and C-level people. The people who are actually making the big decisions. Tech lead, exactly. I mean, it's nothing against you, right? But you're not at like, you're a lot of layers removed, and especially as a tech lead, you're not like, and this is again nothing against you, right? It's just the fact of it. Like you're not working on the business side for one, so you don't see a lot of the business side things that go into it. And like as a person at a certain level, you just don't get to see the intricacies and nuances that go into certain decisions. You have a perception of what the executives are thinking, but until you get into the room with the executives and talk with them and like learn about like what they're actually thinking about, it's like they're playing 4D chess. They're not thinking about the moment right now. They're thinking about like 10 moments afterwards. It's like there's a lot of different things that go into it. But yeah, again, I'm not gonna say that they're perfect, right? I'm not gonna say even their decisions are the right decisions. But I do think that when it comes to making money and the bottom of line, like they are doing everything that they can to make sure they're able to make money. And RMTers and botters are directly fucking them in the ass from two directions. Like literally, they're fucking them in the ass in the side that they're not getting the money that the RMTers are spending on bots. And two, they're getting fucked in the ass because the players are leaving. So it's easy for us to see that they're not doing their job and it's shitty. And we have every right to complain. We do have every right to complain. But I don't think it's as easy as saying that they are saying okay to the people who are doing it, because it's hard to let's say if you're a business owner, right? Because AGS, like the studio leads, are basically the business owners. This is their little shop, right? It might not be their company, or it might not be like their game, but it's like their shop. You're like the owner of that 7-Eleven. If your 7-Eleven is always getting broken into, you're probably getting shut down. That 7-Eleven is probably getting shut down very soon. So it's their goal and their job to make sure that people aren't shoplifting in their 7-Eleven.